How would you describe this season to yourself first, and then to your fan base, Kyle?
To the fan base, I would say the best way to describe the season is transition. The team, I knew coming into the job that transition would take place at some point, from the fact that the team has contended for the better part of 2 decades. With the foundation being Sidney Crosby, Kenny Malkin, Chris Letang. You can put Brian Rust in there. You could put Marc-Andre Fleury, Jake Gensel, whomever else you want to put in that foundational bucket. And I knew coming in that at some point we would have to transition towards that next era while still having some of these guys be a part of leading it and being a part of it when it got there. And so last year, 2024, at the trade deadline, we started that process, and we've just carried it through this year. How I would describe it to myself is it's about what I expected when I came into the position, and what had been discussed with owners when I'd come into the position. So now it's just about getting the plan in order and executing it, which we've tried to do for the last better part of 13, 14 months.
You're trying to do this on the fly, though, right? Like stay competitive and stay in playoff contention?
Yeah, I mean, what we're trying to do in the end, and I think everyone wants to have it a set way that, whether they want to call it a rebuild or on the fly rebuild or retool. The only thing that drives us daily is trying to return the team back to actual contention, not just contending for a playoff spot, but for contending for championships as urgently as we can, with the hope that and plan that we can do that while Sid and the others are still playing at a high level, which Sid obviously very much is.
So, do you think you've bottomed out? Is this the low ebb for? If I'm a season ticket holder, am I saying, okay, things are improving for next year?
Well, I think with the influx of the younger guys, it starts to show that sign, John. And so now, at the same time, we need to continue to get more of those younger guys on our roster, and there are guys that are coming that have played well in Wilkes-Barre, that have had good seasons and in Europe or junior or college, and those players are on their way. We have to develop them as efficiently and as quickly as possible. But I think that even in the last couple weeks, we have last week in Tampa and Buffalo, those were tough nights. But then we respond against a good team on Sunday in Ottawa with we called up Rutger McGroarty and Ville Koivunen onto the roster, and they played very well, helped us play a good game, and in the end win. So I don't know what would represent that. I know that term has been thrown around by a in-state rival of ours the last week or so. I try not to make any proclamations or anything with it. It's our goal is to return the team to contention as quickly as we can, and that's all we work towards.
Mentioned that it really started last year in trade deadline. Specifically, different people or areas that you think that you've made progress on in turning the page.
Yeah, I think it's so hard to turn the page without reflecting on how great a job the previous people in place here have done. Like if you look, Ray Shero, Jim Rutherford, their staffs that have included Tom Fitzgerald, Bill Guerin, Patrick Alvin. You can go on and on down the list of people that have worked in Pittsburgh and helped build the team up into what it was, that have gone on to they did a great job here and they went on elsewhere. But I'm very happy with where our hockey operations staff is, player development staff is, R&D staff is, and I think what we've built in the last year is just the system in place on the player personnel side for drafting and acquiring players, and then on the development side, both raw player development people and at the minor league level to develop those players quickly. I think the fruits of that fruits of that labor is being shown with the players that have performed well in Wilkes-Barre and the success of the team there, and the players that are coming up. And then I think the prospect system itself has taken big steps in the last 12 months or so, Darren, both either in trade acquisition and in the way that we've drafted and developed players in the short run. And then I think also just the number of draft picks that we've acquired that we can use to continue to improve that prospect pool, or use those picks to acquire proven NHL talent.
And that is a list of over the next 3 years. You have 15 in the first 3 rounds. Is that right?
I think
something
so.
Something like that.
30 picks in the next 3 drafts, and I think it's I know it's the most in the top 3 rounds in the next 3 years. So, but all of that is great in theory, but we have to make good on it and execute.
So the other part of this is actually I want to change it a little bit, because you mentioned about your staff. The one thing that appears to me is that Jason Spezza seems to have really he arrived with you from Toronto, and he seems to really have grown into a key executive in all this, and grown into somebody that really is your biggest confidant. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think we have a great group that has a diverse level of experience. John, we have Doug Wilson on our staff, and Doug's great. He's in the Hall of Fame as a player. Ran a contending team for a long time in San Jose, almost 2 decades or over 2 decades as a part of it. And then we have a Spez who retired 3 years ago and is in his 3rd season in management, and he's responsible for running our minor league operation and in our player development department. But because of his connectivity to players, because of his knowledge of players and systems, and how deep his passion and love is for hockey, and how he's always wanted to learn about hockey, he and I talk multiple times daily and really 24 hours a day about our team and other teams, and watching other games, and he'll be able to do whatever he wants in management, because he's got the passion for it, he's smart enough for it, and he's also shown, I think in the last 3 seasons, an ability to actually manage the coaching staff and people, and at the minor league level this year, and he's got a patient approach to his career, but he'll be able to do whatever he wants, and it's we're very, very fortunate to be able to work with him and have him as a part of our group.
You went through a similar situation. Do you see a little bit of yourself, not going from playing to necessarily being in management, but taking on a lot of responsibility early on? What do you see in him that you experienced?
Well, I think it's fairly easy for me to help Jason, and I think he could comment on it better, Darren, because when I was when Lou came into Toronto, I was tasked with the same thing, the minor league team. So at that time it was the Marlies and the Orlando Solar Bears were our 2 affiliates. It became the Newfoundland Growlers thereafter, and then our player development department, but also the R&D department. So I have went through the same sort of responsibilities when I was an assistant GM for Lou in Toronto, and so there's a lot of things that come up that I've experienced and gone through, coming from the Sioux to Toronto, and then working with Lou, and I learned so much in that time, working with Lou and working for Lou, that I try to pass along to Spez, because it's been very helpful to me in my career, and I hope it can be the same for him.